Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special day today, the 4th of February 2022. And what a glorious day it is out here in Brisbane after all the rain and the storm that we have. It's a welcome cool change this morning for the walks. It's very good. So the morning's been pretty good this far, apart from someone running into a car. That's okay. No one said all good. These things do happen, but we need to keep moving on. And of course, right now, people are getting ready to go back to school. So with that, what is actually happening, when we look at all the things. So yesterday, we had an online forum hosted by Graham Parrott MP, and we had Minister, Margaret joining in, and also Peter Russo MP joining in, and Dr. Chung joining in, and Les from the college joining in as well. So here's a little bit of what they had to say.
The federal government not ordering them in time and then hoovering up basically
Mark Bailey speaking.
The rat kits from all over the country out of people's orders. It's been a schmozzle.
Honourable Mark Bailey MP speaking.
We've been able to prioritise them for the school system, for parents, for staff, for teachers, because we know they're going to be used, and they're necessary in terms of protecting people and obviously where people have got any symptoms to see whether they're positive and therefore be able to take the appropriate health response. So, look, I think there's probably the major points. I don't want to talk for too long. I know we've got a bunch of panellists there, but I think that's the major points. There'll be lots of time for questions and queries as we progress. Certainly don't want to hog time, so I'll hand back to you, Graham.
Thanks very much, Mark. And what if anything you've missed, Peter can include it. But you're right, we'll try and get to questions as quickly as possible. And could I now welcome Principal of St Thomas More, Les Conroy, who is going to say a few things. And I should note that St Thomas More, the patron saint of lawyers and politicians, by way of introduction. And Les, you are muted.
And Graham Parrott as the host.
Dr. Margaret Chan. Still muted, Les. I'm not sure whether we do that. Sasha, are we controlling that? Or Lee?
There you go. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Good.
I found the button. It's all good. Like Mark said, you've got to get the mute button out of the road first and up early. Thank you for putting on this forum. And I'd like to acknowledge the work that the state government has done in this respects, and particularly with the breathing time that was given to staff. The 2-week delay, I know it was for probably other reasons and for health reasons that the delay was put in place, but certainly we were able to capitalise it from a school perspective. We understand that, we don't know what the term is going to look like ultimately. We don't know how long the tail is going to be. We don't know what impact COVID will have on the number of staff and the number of students. So what it did allow us to do is to shift a lot of resources and readiness and preparedness for the rest of the term. And that 2 weeks certainly took the pressure off staff, and I know removed a lot of anxiety for staff that were heading into what was going to be an horrendous term, and it still may be, but we're a lot better prepared for that. Some of the impacts that we've had at school since the last 2 years is probably, and I spoke to you, Graham, about it, was the sheer cost of cleaning. All of a sudden, unbudgeted, unexpected, is about a $60,000 a year per annum cost for additional cleaning. To give you an idea, we put a staff member on to do cleaning of touch points, high touch points, twice a day, and that's pretty much a full-time job in a school our size. So I imagine that's repeated across many schools, and that's an unexpected cost, which takes away from the curriculum but keeps people safe. But that was something that we had to address, and we'll probably continue to address in our budgets moving forward. That's all the comments I've got. I'm probably more than happy to, when we get to the questions and answers, answer from a school perspective.
I know we've got a lot of questions that are definitely coming your way, but we'll go to the health expert, Dr. Margaret Chan, who has the Times Square practice in Sunnybank. And I should declare, is my doctor.
Oh, yeah, so kind. So thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Margaret Chan. So thank you, Graham, for inviting me to have a chat about COVID. And I'm sure everyone is similar to me. I'm in the same boat as well. I've got 3 kids who are back to school. About COVID, I probably like to separate into 2 main parts. One is about the prevention of COVID, and then the second part is mainly say when you do have COVID or symptoms of COVID, what to do. So the first part about prevention, it's extremely, extremely important that your kids must be vaccinated. At the moment, the 5 to 11-year-olds, the vaccination rate is only hitting at around 35%. That's really, really not enough. Vaccination is the key to prevention, more so than mask and everything else. So it's very important that you do get your kids vaccinated. And if you do have any issues about the vaccination, do have a chat with your friendly GP. Second thing is mask. The government is providing lots and lots of kids masks to the school. So the school will be handing them out. If your kids haven't tried wearing masks before, try giving them a try run at home. Try to normalize it, making sure that they do cover their nose and also their mouth. And then, yeah, getting used to it, wearing it at home so that they don't feel like it's a completely odd thing when they do start back at school. Hand hygiene is very important. Kids love to touch surfaces and things like that. Good hand hygiene, just soap and water, but also using alcohol foam or alcohol gel is very handy as well. So you can buy little ones over at the pharmacies and also Coles and Woolies. So yeah, if you can start practicing using them at home if you haven't already, that would be very handy as well. With kids, they're so young, it's really hard to do social distancing, but also keep that in mind and probably educate them just to no hugging and kissing and just probably elbow high fives for the time being. So the second part is what to do if you were to have COVID. So there are actually a lot of symptoms that are under the guidelines, the public health guidelines, that you should go and get tested for. So there are the common ones that a lot of people do know about: the fever, runny nose, sore throat, cough. But there are things that some people might not know. So headaches, fatigue, diarrhea, vomiting and nausea, loss of smell and loss of taste is also on the guidelines. Any of these, you must get COVID tested. So this is now done either through a RAT test or a PCR test. If you were to have symptoms at school, let the teachers know. And so school has been provided with plenty of supply of RAT testing, and so you will get to pick up your kid and then do that at home yourself. If you have any issues, there are local testing centres who can do that for you, or ring your friendly GP who can probably guide you through it over the phone. But if you're at home, if it's a Saturday and Sunday and your little kid comes down with these COVID symptoms, then the best thing to do is to go to a local testing centre to pick up one of those RAT testing or get PCR testing done, rather than waiting for Monday to come around and then getting it from the school. And if you were to have COVID positive, do stay at home for the full 7 days, and any close contacts, mum, dad, siblings, do stay at home, but also notify the school so that they can send those emails out to other parents as well. I can probably go into a little bit more detail a little bit later as to the symptoms, or like how GPs manage COVID, and when would we then need to step up to, or when do I go to the ED, where do I call an ambulance? Is there something that is worse than just the very mild symptoms that we normally get from COVID?
Thank you very much, Margaret. As you said, a very friendly GP is a big part of the health program in Australia. You have covered a lot of the questions that people had already sent in and that are in the chat, but I'll still go through this process, even though we've touched on some of the answers already in that very thorough presentation. Peter Russo, could we throw to you? And then I'll go through these questions, the questions that people had already sent in. I will try to direct them where they should go, and hopefully we'll cover off with the proper appropriate person. Peter Russo, over to you.
Yeah, I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners upon the country where we're gathered, elders past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to thank Graham for putting together this forum, and also thank Les and Dr. Song and Mark for your comments. I won't have a lot to say other than to reinforce the message about the vaccination. and the mask wearing. I noticed that there is a question. I don't know, Graham, if you could see the question, but there is a question that possibly Dr. Tonga may be able to answer about how come we haven't moved the booster gap for 12 to 16-year-olds to 3 months as we did with adults. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Mark or Dr. Chung could help with that one. Yeah, and just to say, well, Les is probably the one person who knows what a positive case can do to a school. And from a small, I was actually at the, PNC or PNF when I had to. I got a message from Queensland Health that I needed to go and get tested, but yeah. So and I think there were about 1,000 families that went into lockdown. So and that was an example of great school and a great school community working together to keep everybody safe. That's about it. Stay safe.
Stay safe, and that's about it, as mentioned by the Peter Russell MP there as well, getting slightly distracted. But it was a very good forum. I'm just showing you glimpses of that. We had our input from the community as well to find out about what's going to happen when kids do go back to school, what sort of safety measures are in place, and what would be the procedures should something go wrong. Well, looking ahead, today is Friday. Hey, God, thank God it is Friday. So we have another show coming up at 11 when ST will be here with that PRD market research report. And 4 p.m. we'll have Suman Dua right here in the studios today with Migration Ka Safar. So it's all exciting. Lots of things happening here today. And tomorrow at 10 a.m. we'll have Aapki Sehat, the doctor's program. So that's lots of programs that are coming on air your way. I'd like to get your feedback as well. What do you feel? If there's any things we can do to improve, and how's the shows going? The feedback is always welcome. Right now, what is a bit confusing is the cruise industry, the shipping lines and everyone, they need to find out from the government what are the guidelines, some clarity.
Absolutely beautiful.
Pippa Madden loves cruise travel. She couldn't wait any longer for Australia to lift its ban.
I've got 11 cruises booked from this March 2022 to out to 2024.
She's among thousands of Aussies cruising from distant shores.
I've been really devastated actually, because if I choose to cruise, why can't I?
Western Sydney travel agent Belle Goldie has cruised from LA twice since December, and she's got a name for the trend.
Revenge holidays. People are legitimately anxious and ready to cruise.
Australia's cruise ship ban is due to expire in a fortnight. It was extended in December when Omicron struck, and neither federal or state governments are letting on whether it will be lifted or continue.
So the states are waiting for the federal government to develop a set of national guidelines, and the federal government is waiting for the states to take the lead in pursuing the cruise resumption.
The industry estimates the ban has cost the economy at least $10 billion and thousands of jobs.
Even if the ban is lifted on the 17th of February, which is what we're hoping will happen, it's going to take many, many months for those ships to come back to Australia.
Sydney technical services provider Intermarine has lost 90% of its heavy vessel work.
All they want is just a domestic bubble cruise to commence. So it'll be sailing out of Sydney 3 or 4 days to nowhere, back again out of Brisbane.
Early in the pandemic, cruises gained a reputation for being super spreader environments. But the Australian industry says ships operating abroad have proven transmission can be greatly reduced.
I, cruising personally, felt very safe. The vaccinations, mandatory testing, sanitisation.
It's definitely safer to be on a cruise ship than it is to be in town at the moment, I think.
The customers are keen, but as for the government, the waters ahead are unclear. Emily Lawrence, ABC News.
Of course, it is safer to be on the ship, I reckon, as it might not be as safe being in the town. Well, right now, we'll join in to once again on that Zoom conference which we had yesterday with Dr. Chang.
Here. So when kids are in a class, they're only with their 20 to 30 peers, but if we have things like concerts, excursions, school camps, then you're exposing them to more and more people that are around, and the more people that they're exposed to, the higher the risk.
All right. Les or Mark, do you want to add anything to those?
Yeah, that pretty much hits nail on the head. The other part is minimising transmission to teaching staff, which then adds to a safety issue at the school. So, it's both from that clinical point of view and risk management of staff contracting COVID.
Mark?
Yeah, I'll just share a response I just did on with the on the text thing, and that is, the question was, will it be reviewed during the year? Answer to that is yes, it will be. Basically, as the Omicron threat subsides, that'll be constantly reviewed by Queensland Health and the health advice. Once they believe the risk has passed, no doubt they'll restore that. So at this stage, we don't know when that would be, of course, but that's one that they'll be keeping an eye on. But I don't expect that'll change in the next month or so.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to sort of bundle three questions together for you, Dr. Chung. And you've already touched on these, but
you can see it was quite an interactive the forum, and there are so much anxiety out there in the community, about the kids getting back to school. The other area there is a lot of anxiety about is aged care, as you can see from this report.
There have been almost 800 deaths in aged care from COVID-19 since July. Almost 500 people have died this year alone. That's almost double the number of aged care residents who died in the whole of 2021. The federal government says a time lag on data from the states means it's difficult to say how many of those people died before they got their booster. The aged care minister, Greg Hunt, announced a task force today to analyse data. But he says of the people who died, 19% were unvaccinated and 8% were only partially vaccinated. The large number of deaths in aged care is raising questions about the booster rollout. The program has visited 99% of aged care homes, but that doesn't mean 99% of residents are boosted. There are 190,000 people in aged care homes. According to Minister Hunt, 20,000 of those people are completely unvaccinated or didn't receive their second dose. That leaves 170,000 people who would be eligible for a booster. 125,000 of those have had their third shot, but 35,000 haven't, meaning in total at least 55,000 people in aged care haven't received 3 shots. On Wednesday, Aged Care Services Minister Richard Colbeck was asked why so many aged care residents hadn't had their booster.
Senator, can I say that is the $64 million question? There are many reasons for that. We've discussed this with the sector.
Today, the Aged Care Minister, Greg Hunt, was doubling down on one key reason.
What we are seeing is that there are families or individuals who are making their own choice not to receive that. And so that opportunity has been there right across the sector. The critical thing, though, is for families and for loved ones to authorise and encourage the take-up of that booster.
It's certainly not all about residents deciding they don't want the boosters, but we certainly had a group of residents who, when the clinics arrived, they weren't eligible. Second reason was the issue that you had to get additional consent forms signed, and in some cases families didn't get them back in time. The third reason is there are a group of residents who will not get the vaccination either because of choice or clinically they no longer need it. They're in a palliative care phase and they don't need the booster shot.
There are so many reasons, and to say it's because families didn't give their permission is just disingenuous. I think this is an absolute abrogation of the duty of our federal government.
Greg Hunt is retiring soon, but in an election year, the opposition wants someone held responsible for the aged care situation. Richard Colbeck has already been addressing criticism over his attendance at the cricket on the same day he'd said he couldn't make a COVID Senate inquiry.
It was a decision that I made. I have to stand by it and live with it.
Richard Colbeck must resign today. If Richard Colbeck does not resign today, the Prime Minister should sack him.
A very strong statement there, of course. Well, right now, before we go to our daily India report, we'll go to Tonga, where the COVID outbreak is also hampering efforts of relief. And before we go there, I'd also like to mention Mauritius. All our friends there, Kirti Lataram and everyone, have sent in lots of reports of damage there with the big, huge cyclone that has gone through there. So we'll bring some report, we'll try and connect with them probably tomorrow and see if we can get them on the show here to say what the situation on the ground is there in Mauritius. But right now, let's go to Tonga.
It's been described as a ghost town here in the capital, Nuku'alofa.
Normally, this road will be queuing with vehicles and people. But as you can see, all shops are closed. Everything is closed.
Queues were seen outside banks and petrol stations as residents stocked up on essentials.
There is a lockdown, and I think it's a good thing. We need to be tracking and doing tracing of those who were in contact with the first two COVID cases.
Those were wharf workers who'd been loading aid deliveries from foreign vessels. Now a wife and 2 children are also confirmed cases. However, one of the original cases has since tested negative. He'll need to undergo 3 more tests before being released from isolation. Officials say the outbreak is being investigated, but it's unlikely that the virus was transmitted from naval boats that delivered aid, including HMAS Adelaide that reported COVID among its crew, as it was using a different port to where the infected staff worked. Most frontline workers are exempt from the lockdown, but it's posing a challenge to rush aid to those affected by last month's volcanic eruption and tsunami. Clean drinking water, shelter and hygiene kits are badly needed by thousands still.
Our overall response is going to cater for about 2,800 households. So we're really targeting that response with coordination with other agencies.
Tonga's newly installed Prime Minister says he believes the resilience and strength of the people will get the kingdom through the impacts of the volcanic eruption, tsunami and now COVID-19. Yvonne Yong.
And we really hope that they do come through that. It's quite a lot to go through, the tsunami first and then, of course, the COVID-19 break as well. Well, don't forget that today at 11 a.m. we have ST right here in the studios and she will be bringing the latest report on property prices and everything that's happening and the latest with PRD research, the new research which has just come out with ST right here at 11 in the studios. Then at 4 p.m. Today we have Suman Dua in the studios and she will be answering your questions on any migration related thing. So, that program will be presented in Hindi, Migration Ka Safar with Suman Dua, and that is at 4 p.m. Brisbane time right here from these studios. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now I think it's time we went to our daily India report. With that, let's welcome Himanshu.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you glimpses of the changing India. In our first story, India has registered 172,433 new COVID-19 cases on February 2nd, with Kerala, Karnataka and Maharashtra contributing maximum cases. India registered 172,433 new COVID-19 cases between 2nd and 3rd February, the country's Union Health Ministry has said.
The daily spike recorded on February 3rd is 6.8% higher than that recorded on February 2nd. The overall caseload in India now stands at 410,803,318. Also, as many as 1,008 deaths due to COVID-19 were reported in India in the last 24 hours, pushing the nationwide toll to 498,983. India's active caseload declined by 87,682 in the last 24 hours and currently stands at 15,33,921. The top 5 states which registered the maximum number of COVID-19 cases are Kerala with 52,199 cases, followed by Karnataka with 20,505 cases, Maharashtra with 18,067 cases, Tamil Nadu with 14,013 cases and Gujarat with 8,934 cases.
Zydus has started the supply of its needle-free anti-COVID vaccine to the Indian government. Zydus has begun supplying its needle-free anti-COVID vaccine Zycov-D to the Indian government, the company has announced. The Indian government in 2021 placed an order for 10 million vaccine doses for the National Anti-COVID Immunization Program. The company is also planning to make the vaccine available in the market. Zycov-D is the world's first plasmid DNA vaccine. A 3-dose vaccine is to be administered intradermally using the painless PharmaJet needle-free system called TROPIS on day 0, day 28 and day 56. The vaccine will be priced Rs 265 per dose, with the applicator charging Rs 93 per dose excluding GST. The company said it has signed an agreement with Shilpa Medicare Limited, a contract manufacturing organization, to produce doses of Zycov-D. It also has a pact with Enzychem Life Sciences of the Republic of Korea for the manufacturing license and technology transfer for the vaccine. The National Drugs Regulator granted the vaccine approval for restricted use in emergency situations for people aged 12 and above. The company earlier announced it should have production capacity of about 10 to 12 million doses per month. The Union Health Ministry has said the Zydus vaccine would initially be used in state districts of Bihar, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, having low first dose coverage. The vaccine will be rolled out nationwide later. Global fashion retailer H&M is all set to enter India's fast-growing home decor and furnishing market. Swedish retailer H&M will start selling home decor, dinnerware, bed linen and furnishings in India starting as early as next month through its website as well as its online partner Myntra. The retailer will also sell the range of its existing store in Delhi territory at a later date. The move comes as demand for home-related products has seen an uptick in the aftermath of the pandemic. H&M Home operates over 350 shop-in-shops and 27 standalone stores across the world with a physical presence in 52 markets. H&M Home, launched online in 2009, offers furniture, bed linen, dinnerware, textiles, furniture and lighting. H&M opened its first store in India in 2015 under the foreign direct investment route for single brand retailers. The brand currently operates 50 stores. In 2018, it debuted online commerce through its own local website and app. In 2019, it stitched a partnership with Flipkart-owned online fashion retailer Myntra to sell its fashion wear online. India has received an FDI inflow of $54.10 billion in the April-November period of 2021. India has received an FDI inflow of $54.10 billion in the April-November period of the current financial year, according to the data released by the government. The government reviews the FDI policy on an ongoing basis and makes significant changes from time to time so that India remains an attractive and investor-friendly destination. The government has put in place a liberal and transparent policy for FDI, wherein most of the sectors are opened to FDI under the automatic route. to further liberalize and simplify FDI policy for providing ease of doing business and attract investments, reforms have been undertaken recently across sectors such as coal mining, contract manufacturing, digital media, single brand retail trading, civil aviation, defense, insurance and telecom, the Ministry of Commerce said. Net foreign direct investment recorded a lower inflow of USD 24.7 billion and the gross moderated to USD 54.1 billion in April-November 2021 due to sluggish equity investment, the Economic Survey said on 31st January 2022. Computer software and hardware attracted the highest FDI equity inflows of USD 7.1 billion in April-September 2021, it added. Singapore continues to be the top investing country in terms of FDI equity inflow, followed by the US. According to the survey, net FDI recorded a lower inflow of USD 24.7 billion, but the gross FDI inflows moderated at USD 54.1 billion during April-November 2021. The wax largely due to lower equity investment. Sectors that attracted maximum inflows during the period include computer software and hardware, automobiles, services, education, trading, construction activities, metallurgical industries and defense industries. Sri Lanka receives a $500 million loan from India to finance urgent oil purchases. Sri Lanka was handed temporary relief from energy shortages and rolling blackouts on Feb 2nd with a $500 million loan from India to finance urgent oil purchases for the cash-strapped nation. The island's economic woes have left thermal power generators unable to keep the lights on and disrupted transport networks as traders run desperately low on foreign currency to fund imports. Frequent breakdowns at a huge coal power plant have compounded unannounced electricity cuts, and households are also struggling to source cooking gas and kerosene. Officials said a formal agreement was signed on Feb 2nd after 2 weeks of talks, in addition to a recent $915 million in foreign exchange support. An Indian diplomat said talks were underway on another $1 billion credit line to fund urgently needed food and medicine imports from India. India defeated Australia under-19 by 96 runs and secured their place in their fourth consecutive under-19 Cricket World Cup final. In the finals, India faces England, who defeated Afghanistan in the other semi-final. India's dominance in the U19 World Cups continues as the boys in blue enter their fourth consecutive under-19 World Cup final. India defeated Australia under-19 by 96 runs and secured their place in their fourth consecutive final. India will now face England in the final, who defeated Afghanistan in the other semi-final. Yash Dhal became the only third captain after Virat Kohli and Margaret Chan to score 100 in the World Cup. He scored 110 in as many balls and was part of a solid 204-run partnership with Sheikh Rashid for the third wicket. Rashid also scored 94 runs and made sure India reached a consolidating 290 runs. Australia looked shaky right from the beginning of the chase. After winning the match, Captain Yash Dhal said the idea was to bat steadily, not to try too many shots, and to bat past the 40th over. Myself and Rashid bat well together. We combined well and it showed. Rashid and me had a good partnership and we had good partnerships lower down as well. It is safe to assume that India's future is in quite bright hands, in batting as well as in bowling. Raj Bawa's big hitting was a talking point in previous games. The Indian team also has a lot of all-rounders as well. Bollywood star Huma Qureshi is all set to thrill the audience in the upcoming 6-part web series Mithya. Here is a look at the trailer. Bollywood star Huma Qureshi is all set to thrill the audience with her acting in the upcoming 6-part web series Mithya. The makers have just dropped its trailer. The trailer begins with Juhi Adhikari giving an assignment to her students. As Riya Rajguru goes to her to ask about her submission, Juhi accuses her of cheating. What looks like a matter of academic deception soon takes a drastic turn into a conflicted relationship between the two leads. The trailer unveils glimpses of psychological combat between Juhi and Ria, both unwilling to back down. As the trailer moves forward, it sees several new characters associated with their lives getting engulfed in their conflict. Taking to her Instagram handle, Huma Qureshi shared the official trailer of the upcoming web series Mithya. Sharing the clip, Huma Qureshi wrote, "Lies are dangerous, but can truth be fatal? Welcoming you to the world of Mithya with Juhi Adhikari." The actor will play the role of a Hindi literature teacher, Juhi Adhikari, while Avantika Dasani will essay her student, Ria Rajguru. The show is scheduled to release on February 18, 2022 on the OTT platform Z5. It also casts Parambrata Chatterjee, Rajit Kapoor and Sameer Soni in pivotal roles.
Right now I'm wondering whether you upset me or disgust me.
That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report.
And thank you very much for that report, the Himanshu. Well, right now we'll finish off with some of the functions and events taking place. Now, if you are taking part in any of the functions and events, please double check before you go out, because some of them would be operating under obviously they would be operating under the COVID safe plans, but some of them might also be cancelled or postponed. And ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you. But don't forget in this segment. But don't forget that at 11 we have ST coming in today, and today's will be the latest report that has been put out by PRD. So that's coming on at 11 a.m. today, right here on this channel from these very studios. Looking forward to that. And that don't forget that at 4 p.m. We'll have Suman Dua coming in, and she will answer any questions relating to migration in her special program called Migration Ka Safar, being the first Friday of the month. Yes, so there's some exciting things happening, and of course tomorrow we'll have Aapki Sehat, that very special program by Indian Medical Association of Queensland, facilitated by Dr. Cyril Fernandez. So, these are some of the upcoming shows to look out for. But don't forget that the radio 24/7 online, so many different platforms, streamer, radio.co, radio online, tune in, Simply Radio, and you name it. There's so many different platforms, so you can listen to Australian Indian Radio via your favorite app on anything that has got internet enabled. So until 11 a.m. at the real estate update and the market research with ST from PRD. Until then, it's goodbye from me.